the best for last, because we are going to talk about a Hungarian god, easily the best player for us this season, a multitude of positions. I don't even want to think where we'd be without him this season, to be honest, Dominik Szoboszlai Barts. I mean, literally, in terms of everything, goals, assists, output, running, like the lot. We even shared a stat today that Sky Sports put out, didn't they, around sprints. And I mean, I know he doesn't like it. It might even be the best right back in the league, but that's maybe one for a bit later. And Real Madrid, just in case you're listening, piss off, number one. Number two, is there just a blank check for this boy's renewal just to get it done?
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. Would be not in a great place if Dominik Szoboszlai hadn't played multiple positions. There's an argument to be had he should have played one position, because I'm more of the opinion that you don't move your best players out of their position. Yeah. You put other players in to fill the areas of weakness, and yeah, there you go. But I wanted to start here purely because he's one of the few players that has a profile in more than one category, right? So Mo's got a forward and a midfielder, which is arguably the same, but it is what it is. So Dom has a defender profile, and you might be thinking, no, that's not that great. But in all of this, remember, it's the percentage per the group, right? And if you're in a group with Virgil, your averages are going to take a hit because Virgil has been, even by Virgil standards, has still been pretty good, sort of more than pretty good. So, but what I'm trying to say is he's no worse than any other defender not named Virgil van Dijk, right? As a profile, considering he's not played there a lot, he's no worse. But if we look at actually where I think he should have played all season, that's his wagon wheel there. He's above average for all the segments. And in terms of that EPV, is basically the amount of threat he's producing per game is higher than any other midfielder, right? When you classify Mo in there, which is a bit of a cheat. But in terms of midfield, Dom Szoboszlai has created more threat for us than any other player. That includes, I'm not knocking Flo, but that includes Flo in that. When Flo is one of our main things is to produce threat, right? If you look at his P90, so again, Dom is in the defensive category here. If I just find it coming down, so he's still even playing as right back. 823 minutes, which is no small chunk of change for playing right back now. He's got 0.39 threat, right? Jesus. Which is the highest of any of our defenders. He's got 89% pass rate, which, all right, that's where he sometimes plays a bit like Trent, where he'll invert and take some risks with that, but even to look at some of his defensive stats from there, considering he is not a defender, his Jordan's not been, his aerials are not a strong point, and his ground duel is a 42. But that, again, isn't too out of line with anyone not named Virgil van Dijk, all right? In terms of stopping threat coming in his area, that is an area of weakness for him, but some of that will come down to positionally. He's used to playing in an area of the pitch which is dynamic, moving, he's scanning, he's changing, he's got distinct passing lanes to stop and go and stop. When you play fullback, you've got this thing called a line, which you have to worry about, and the players are coming at you from different angles, and he won't have the memory about where's best to deal with that opportunity to stop it, right? So that's why he's down on that level. But they're still very good. So we go to him in terms of a midfielder defensively, if I can find him quickly. So his duel rates go up a little bit to about mid-40s, which is kind of in line with most of them. The other ones. Stopping threat goes up to 83%. So he uses his knowledge to therefore, in the right area, he stopped 83% of the threat coming at him from a defensive point of view. We look at his passing as a midfielder. He's at 89%. 0.39 threat for XT, which again is one of the highest. I think that is the highest midfielder. He's 19, which that one is. Final third passes at 0.19 is just, you start looking at any of these elements, and dark red is basically where it's the top number, right? His profile all across the board is extreme. It is. He is a player operating at top of his games, game in, game out when you ask him to go and play. It's just, he's a very, very he's not even in the elite age yet. He's just coming through and found himself. And if
Yeah.
we go back to our passing again, we talked about Curtis last time and volume, but this is Dom, right?
Right.
That is just an extreme amount of play. Considering Dom wasn't really one of the big criticisms last season, even though he won the title with him being a 10, was his production from the 10 sometimes was not great,
Yeah.
right? He did all the defensive work and the running around, but when it came to actually ball at feet, can you play that ball in there or can you do this? It wasn't necessarily there. This season, look at the amount of arrows that are dark red or red from the central area is incredible, and that's a change up. And if you break down every single category, the volume doesn't change that much. Progressive passes for Dom in and around high threat, key passes. Nearly all of his arrows for key passes are red, indicating high threat. So for me, I think he's best positioned in midfield, and we should find a way of keeping him in midfield. I think any hopes we've got of getting top 4 qualifications, and I hate talking that way, but that's the reality we are in the season, centre around, for me, keeping Dom in the central areas. And then going forward, I think we don't want to get ourselves in a situation where we're held hostage in contracts and that. I think we just get him signed up early as we can, and get it sorted, because he seems to be, you need Dom in midfield, whether you play him deeper. There's an argument there as well. I know pre-season we saw him play deeper, but I think you lose some of the bits we need further up the pitch. But whenever we've asked him to play in that midfield area, he's been elite, been one of the best midfielders in the league. I don't really want him playing right back anymore, but there you go.
It is insane, Si, when we talk about sort of Dominik Szoboszlai's positioning, like Bart says. I know he doesn't want him playing right back, but he is bloody good there for a start. But we've seen him in the double pivot. We said we've seen him in the 10 last season. Obviously, the Florian Wirtz situation has changed that. And I mean, even when we've switched it, we've seen Slot put him right wing. We have seen him pretty much, bar goalkeeper, most positions this season. Where is for you right now Dominik Szoboszlai? Like, he's in the team, first name, where?
He would be in centre mid, like what we talked about Mac doing last season. Just go and play in centre mid. He can fill all of the roles, and then he just dominates. And his physical components just create problems for the opposition, just because he's so fast and he can make so many sprints and so many high speed runs that the opposition have to try to live with that by running 1 and 2 lads to share that workload. But the crazy thing is, at right back, I was looking at his numbers, and I was asking around who's the best right back in the league, and I think it's probably arguable it's been Timber this season.
Yeah.
If you look at his defensive threat prevented, like, he kicks his ass. It's like he's the best defensive right back in the league, whilst also being just the best attacking right back in the league. So I can understand why you'd play him there, but the drop off sadly to what we're left in midfield when he's not there is so significant that I would just play a workman like right back that can defend. But yeah, it's trickier. He is an unbelievable centre midfielder, and you should build your team around that. His high intensity running is off the chart. His total distance is off the chart. His ability, so a thing we monitor as sports scientists are impacts. They call it impacts in stat sport, but they're actually high acceleration, accelerations, decelerations, and contacts. And his are literally the highest in the league. And so he just causes this physical imposition to the opposition whilst being technically utterly brilliant. His availability is absolutely top drawer as well. We have these 2 monsters in our squad that we've been very used to and totally spoiled by, Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah, who bang out 5,000 minute seasons every year, and they're in their mid-30s and still doing it. And this season, Zobo is, for the last 3 seasons, Zobo will be exactly the same number. He's projecting to finish with exactly the same number as Mo Salah.
Jeez.
He's an utter monster. So he'll have had 13 minutes less than 1,500 minutes in the last 3 seasons. That's 5,000 minutes a season.
Jesus Christ.
Like the value of this. So I looked at, let me get the right sheet up because I've got so many open. Most importantly for us this season, he's played 27 games and he has a goal. He's played 37 games and he has a goal or assist in 14 of them. And that leads our team with the number of games he is affected with an actual goal.
Yeah.
And of those 14, 9 of them were big goal or assists. So game changing in our result changing in our favor. So the opening goal, the go ahead goal, or an equalizer, the important goals. So he has 9 of those this season, and that's phenomenal for a midfielder. But it's also the most of anyone in our team, which is amazing. And I compared him and his current, because we're talking value, against the midfielders, and looking at contracts. And as contracts, who's paid the most in midfield in the league, and he is ranked 36th of midfielders in the country in how much he gets paid, which is totally astonishing. So he absolutely deserves to be in the top. If he asked for top 250, which is the discussion, that would rank him. That would rank him 12th in the league. Does he not deserve to be in the top 12 in the league? He is producing so. I ran a set of numbers of there's a bunch knocking around these days, but of defensive contributions. But I looked at Bart's threat defended. I think is that the right term, Bart? Yeah. So I used threat defended and added to XT and XG build up, right? Per 90, and aggregate these numbers divided by the cost of their salary, right? And so for every one of each of those things, it costs £484,000 for Jack Grealish. And it costs £96,000 for Dominik Szoboszlai. Zobo is the cheapest value of any midfielder in the league. Jack Grealish is obviously the highest.
That might actually be my favourite start of the night. And even putting this on the screen here, I mean, we've got to be honest, Si, because Declan Rice is the media darling. I do think he's a good player. You know, there's talk about how good he is, but people will expect him or have thrown him in the conversation for player of the year. But in a struggling Liverpool team, when you put the stats side by side, Dominik Szoboszlai wins, really, doesn't he?
Yeah. So he's a better right back than Timber, attacking and defending. He is a better centre mid than Declan Rice. He is fairly literally as a right winger. Only you can put the threat of Doku. He is the only right winger with more threat than him. So he is just. I think fundamentally there is an argument for Bruno Fernandes as being the player of the season. It's one of those two. They're actually the two best players, but Bruno Fernandes is paid a lot more money. So he is this. So for every contribution that I went through, defensive attacking contribution value, Zobo is 96,000 and Bruno is 2,000. It's 206,000 per.
Jesus.
And Bruno's brilliant, utterly brilliant.
Yeah.
But Zobo's better.
Yeah.
Better value.
Insane. All those stats, people, probably one word for me, insane. Which brings us to the final question. And the good thing when I get guys on this, like up, who aren't used to my style, is I can just throw random questions. And because we're live, they've got to answer them. Simple as that. So I'm going to come to you first of all, Bart. If you could do 2 things with our midfield this summer, and I'm talking the personnel, just to be clear. So along the lines of renew, keep, if you want to call it that, sell and bring in. And if you're going to give me a bring in, you've got to give me a name or a style of player. What 2 things would you be doing then based on what you're seeing with the stats if you're Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards?
I mean, personally, I'd keep Curtis and Dom. That counts as one thing, but yeah, that'd be my thing. All right, the style, and this is people who've listened to me on UP, TNN before. The style of player I bring in would be a Fabinho type, Baleba at Brighton or something like that. That personally is the player I think we're missing in the profile of midfielders. Personally, and they, for me, should be tasked with sitting in front of the back four, doing the stuff that none of our players, to be frank, are currently doing when they play in that position. Because it's not their mindset. You know, so I spoke about being team first. There's also a mindset about being defence first. And Grav went through this period last season when they were trying to get him to think like that. I'm not going to lie to you, it ain't going to happen. He's spent his whole life being this midfielder, get on the ball, go and do this, go and do this. He's not spent his life being, I'm going to go and stop that guy scoring or this opportunity. It doesn't happen on a flick of a switch. And I don't think any of our other midfielders have really got that mindset. And that's the profile of player I would add as a priority, is someone who is defensive, team-minded, to sit in there and just do that for us. And I just genuinely think you'd see our performance levels go up, because the threat, as I spoke to you about last game, losing 85% of the defensive threat you face in front of your back four is not a good thing, particularly to a team at the bottom of the league. Imagine you scale that up, you just watch City do exactly the same thing, right? And they have higher quality players to then create chances. For me, that's a priority number one, is to stop that happening. It'll also help you in transition and all the other elements that we've suffered through the season. So for me, it'd be sign up Dom and CJ and bring in a profile of a Baleba or a six that can do his defensive team first.
Doesn't it say it all? That started you off on Grav and Mac, and they're not even in your top three things to do in that regard. Okay. Si, any different from that at all?
You know, I'm not a big transfers guy, but let me throw a spanner in the works here. What I would do is flog Grav at the height of his value. I would flog Grav to Barcelona or some other dickhead team that likes saucy footballers, and I would buy in a lad as big as him whose first thought isn't, how am I going to beat this man? It's, if you beat me, I'm going to chop you down.
Yeah.
And I find the whole thing fascinating. That interview, we've been captured by two interviews in the last 2 years. One of Slot and Mo talking about how they freed him up. So Slot gets all the credit for Mo last season now, and then the one early this season that of Slot saying he freed up Grav. He gave him more freedom, right? And the thing I really can't reconcile is that Curtis 4 years ago was sent away. You're this Steve McManaman figure. You just dribble, and you need to go and round your game out by doing this stuff. And they literally stopped him playing as a 10. In training, you're only playing as, for the first period, it was Ginny, keep the ball, that stuff. And it seemed that we did that last season with Grav. We went, right, you're going to play a 6, you're going to be an utterly brilliant 6. You need to switch. You naturally think about the attacking shapes all the time, and space, and how you're going to maneuver your body to gain space. And the thing that you need to fixate on is how you nullify somebody doing that against you, and how you can fill holes within a structure. And I thought he was doing that last season. It was like, that's what he was learning for the season, and that's brilliant. And if you think of this as a 3-year project for a 21-year-old footballer, by the time he's 24, 25, he has the physical skills. He could be the best in the world. I'm down with it. And then first week of the season, Slot goes and talks about how he wants him to be a saucy 6. And now all of a sudden he gets to just go, and he wants him contributing in the final third. It's almost like, you've done the thing I tasked you with. It was a compromise. If I make you defend for me last year, now we won the league, here you can go and be more like you again. And so it totally changes the mindset, so that he's forgotten the thing he just learned only for a year. Of course, he's going to go to default. Default is attack, and he needed a 3-year process so that he could properly embed, and it becomes his default thought process. And he just didn't do it, and it's been undone. And he sometimes thinks about it, but often he thinks about how he's getting up the pitch. and so I would flog him, get in Sangari or Baliba, or I don't know enough about who else is, but whoever's 6'3" and likes to head a ball, because that's really important for us because we have lots of short fellas. So you got to, if you're going to compromise technical ability, which you're going to a little bit, that I want to get a 6'3" player who actually heads a ball, not is just 6'3" on paper, and wants to die rather than have a ball slotted through our back four.
And it probably seems a good note there, ladies and gents, to finish on death, doesn't it, really, as we talk about our midfield realistically. But there you go. There's concerns about Gravenberch. The decline might be there. It's hard to argue against. There's massive concerns that we aren't renewing Curtis Jones, it seems. In fact, it's a bit head-scratching as well. What isn't head-scratching is the need to get Dominik Szoboszlai under lock and key as fast as possible whilst he is ours. We will see what the midfield brings. I have no idea what we'll be talking about as we move to the summer of the midfield. But all it leaves me to say as ever, lads, is for the time, the insight, and preparing all the data, it is massively appreciated as ever, Si and Barts.
All good. Good fun.
All good. Good fun.
And ladies and gents, that was another Stat Me Up for Anfield Index.